I'd like to call to order the Wyoming Valley West School District February meeting for February 8th, 2023. It's how about now? Any better? Any better?
You want the fan turned off in the corner?
There, is that any better? Thank you, young man. Appreciate it. I'd like to call to order the February 8th meeting of the Wyoming Valley West School District. Roll call, please.
Mr. Pazinski,
Here.
Mr. Dabaskis,
Here.
Mr. Hardwick,
Present.
Mr. Keating,
Here.
Mr. Usavage,
Here.
Mr. Perfetto,
Here.
Mr. Majer, Mrs. Cassatt. Here. Mr. Camus.
Here. Stand for a moment of silence, followed by the salute to our flag, please. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I'd like to note that there was an executive session held prior to this, our regular monthly meeting, to discuss personnel items. Student representatives, Mr. McLaughlin and Mr. Rocky, please.
Erica Fellerman, Chase Griffiths, Dahlia Laban, and John McLaughlin were selected by faculty as seniors of the month for the month of January. The students will be honored at a breakfast with a faculty guest of their choosing. They will receive a certificate from administration, and a photograph will be featured in the local newspaper and on the high school webpage. Congratulations. Also, several members of the high school concert choir attended Jersey Harmony Explosion, hosted by the Dapper Dans of Harmony and East Coast Sound. A prom dress sale is happening on Thursday, February 9th. There will be a shopping event available to every student in the high school. Come shop with us and choose from around 200 dresses in every style and ranging in size from 0 to 26. Each dress is $10. A cash-only payment is due the day of the event. Multiple dresses can be purchased and dresses can be tried on. Each day leading to the event, select dresses were displayed in the library window for students to check out. All students are encouraged to join us. Remember, it never hurts to look. District band begins tomorrow. Members will be attending at North Pocono High School, and the concert will be at 7 o'clock on Friday.
The student council is selling a flower for a friend for $1. Delivery is Tuesday, February 14th. The Black Youth in Action Club arranged for Michael Jefferson to be our speaker on February 15th for the Black History Month Assembly at the high school. Mr. Jefferson was selected as PA's Youth and College Division of the NAACP statewide organization, which aligns with the BYA Club's message to inspire youth of all backgrounds at our school. Friday, February 17th is an Act 80 day. Students will be dismissed at 10:30. On Monday, February 20th, school is closed for the observance of President's Day. Wednesday, February 22nd is a club day. Wednesday, March 1st is the high school will host a blood drive in conjunction with the American Red Cross. On Wednesday, March 1st, a representative from Luzerne County Community College will be at the high school for an instant admissions day for seniors. Lastly, the Gamers Club is hosting their biggest tournament of the year this Saturday at the high school. Please come join them and participate in their Super Smash Brothers tournament. That is all we have from the high school. Thank you very much.
Thank you, gentlemen, very much. Superintendent's comments, Mr. Tosh, please.
Thank you, Mr. Camus. This week is National Guidance Counselors Week. I'd like to take this opportunity to thank our guidance counselors. At the high school, Mrs. Bartolome, Mrs. Christian, Mrs. Mr. Roskowskis, Mr. Kelly. At the middle school, Mrs. DePhillips, Ms. Yankowski, and Mrs. Kaminsky. At the elementary schools, Ms. Nicholson, Mrs. Boych, Mrs. Prochak, and Mrs. Cryan. The role of the guidance counselor has certainly evolved and expanded over the years, and they do a really, really good job up there. High school teachers, Miss Katie Finnegan and Miss Melanie Cabela, were selected to be part of Impact Leadership Northeast Class of 2023. The Impact Program equips and empowers the region's education professionals to be progressive agents of positive change within their schools. To improve our school culture and educational outcome, Ms. Finnegan and Ms. Cabela chose to complete a school impact project on improved school attendance. On January 27th, the high school began implementation of an attendance mentoring program for at-risk students. We look forward to seeing this program through its infancy stage and supporting our students. Thank you for the classroom teachers for volunteering their time to mentor. The middle school would like to thank Kingston Fire Department Chief Guido and his staff for cooperating with the school's 8th grade family consumer science classes by providing training and instruction on fire safety in the kitchen. And finally, Dana Elementary Center sponsors the annual SPCA donation drive. Students are asked to make SPCA wish list donations during the month of January while being educated about the possible pursuit of animal-related careers in their future. Thank you, Mr. Camus.
Thank you, Mr. Tosh. Statements from interested citizens. Kate Barifka, please.
Hi, my name is Kate Pokrivka. I live in 44. Just 3 things. First, I sent an email to the board last week. I'm just looking forward to getting an email response whenever you get a chance. Second, as predicted, the class sizes at Dana Street have swollen. Both my 2nd and 4th graders classes increased 55% since Schuyler closed. It is a concern. 28 kids in a class is a lot. The third thing is what I've always been up here yammering about, which is the fighting, bullying, and culture of disrespect at the middle school. And now it seems like is happening at the high school. We have been sending our kids to Good Shepherd Academy for 6th, 7th, and 8th grade, which is lovely but expensive. And our plan was to reintroduce our kids to the district for high school. And now I'm afraid to do that, and we're considering alternatives. My question is, what is the plan to address the bullying, fighting, and culture of disrespect at the middle school and the high school? I understand that there's additional resource officers, but what else? It seems like the district is losing good kids, like mine, frankly. And the problem's going to keep going on the longer the problems continue. So if this were my problem to solve, I would try tons of things, just like anything, to see what works. Like one example would be maybe to reinstitute the dress code. It's maybe spitting at fire, but it's hard to believe that a collared shirt would stop a fight. But I don't think anyone could disagree with the fact that the fighting has gotten worse since the district has laxed the dress code. So why not try that? You know, another idea is maybe to revamp the cell phone policy. It boggles my mind that you can't use video surveillance in a bathroom, but kids could take their cell phones to the bathroom, cell phones that take videos in the bathroom. And it's my understanding that kids are hanging out in the bathroom all day. And maybe if they didn't have their cell phone, they would finally get bored and figure out something else to do so that kids that actually have to go to the bathroom could use the bathroom. So why not try that? Another idea would be to maybe have the resource officers stationed in or around the bathrooms and only open up those bathrooms. So like, sorry, kid, you have to go down 3 floors and across the hallway to use the bathroom, but there's no vaping in there. There's no smoking pot in there. There's no vandalism in there. There's no fighting in there because there's a resource officer right there. Perhaps the most obvious would be to establish a consistent system of punishment for culprits that starts early, like at the elementary level. I've heard about students that are in the honors classes that complain to staff about being bullied, and it's met with, well, what did you do to participate in this problem? Or maybe you should talk to a counselor. It seems like maybe blaming the victim to an extent. So all while there are no consequences for the perpetrator. So it just seems to me like more needs to be done. I'm not saying this is groundbreaking or would make any difference, but I say try something. We're paying school taxes and we don't feel comfortable sending our kids to 2 out of 3 schools in the district. And that is a problem. Thank you for your time.
Thank you very, very much. Ms. Pokrivka, that email, I did not see it in my email. I just checked while you were at the podium. Is it something you would like to address the board about this evening, or? If you could please send that to me personally, I definitely will get your response, whatever. I don't see it in my email. I apologize. Mr. Tosh, could you handle the attendance in the Dana Street, please? Answer her question.
As far as the class sizes at Dana, I'll be honest with you, the numbers that, and again, I'll look at the numbers tomorrow. The numbers were pretty good in terms of 22 kids, 24, which are pretty good numbers. Actually, in some of the building, they're obviously a little higher since we closed Schuyler, but those numbers around 20, 22, 24, even 25, they're actually not bad numbers. They're pretty consistent with what we've had in the district throughout the years. Yeah, as far as you mean over Good Shepherd. Yeah, if they had 18 last year at Dana, sure, they're probably up around 23 or 24, maybe 25, because we did close a building. So, you know, yeah. Okay. Okay. Thank you.
The last thing you addressed the board on was the fighting. I can honestly thank you for your comments. We appreciate it. I know I do. I know I'm speaking with every board member that we talk about this, and we've been talking about this, trying to, come up with some ideas. I could announce that this next Wednesday, thank you to State Representative Aaron Coffer. He set up a meeting with Senator Lisa Baker, our District Attorney Sam Sangladoci. There's going to be a PA Department of Education attorney present at this meeting as well. Attorney Fellman, Attorney Wendolowski, Attorney Messinger will be there, plus all our district SROs. So try to get to the bottom of something to try to figure this out, to try to give parents some resolve and our students some resolve. I'll let you know next month what happens in this meeting, but we're trying actively. We are trying the expulsion. We are trying a 0 tolerance policy. We're doing everything we can at this moment. We're hoping this next piece is going to put the cream on the cake, if you will. Thank you very much. Greg Griffin, please.
Members of the school board, parents, visitors, Greg Griffin, Swarsville. My kids were educated in Valley West, and I have family that were staff at Valley West. And there's a problem now. It's coming through the grapevine. It's on social media, and we all know what the problem is. It's fights, disrespect to staff and other students. And what are we going to do? And I want to thank all of you. It's a thankless job as a school board member. You get a lot of complaints. I don't even know if you're paid, but no. So, I mean, thank you. People, the families, the parents, they're scared. The teachers are scared. One day last year, I heard there was 23 teachers called in sick, and there's not enough subs. See, when people don't want to come to work, that's another red flag. So I know you're doing everything you can. You're hiring school resource officers. Excellent. There's the solutions. There are solutions. Maybe more conflict resolution classes for the kids. An actual curriculum. Get them into the room and, maybe protective mats where they could like slug each other. I mean, look, this is outside the box stuff, but y'all are losing your school. As a 25-year state corrections officer, at my jail at Retreat, a lot of inmates said, this place, this is bad. You guys have too many rules. And I said, yeah, but you're safe, aren't you? And they said, yeah. I said, well, I know it's tough when we make you make your bed and wax your floor, but you're safer. And they said, well, some of them would say, well, I'm getting the hell out of this jail. I'm going back to the Greaterford. But, if you take care of the little things, like the dress code, the lady said, it's another solution. Because where is Valley West going to be in 5 years? I mean, you got to do something, draw a line in the sand. The DA, I just heard you were saying, and you can have parent volunteers. In some school districts, some of the fathers came in. But, even as a retired state corrections officer, I would come in, I would want liability insurance. And we deal with the force continuum, and like, we would not put our hands on the kids ever, except to defend ourselves. But there are resources. There's hundreds of corrections officers. If you give them liability insurance, they'd stand in the hallway, and the biggest thing in the prison was physical presence. The inmates, every time they turned around, there was a staff member. They couldn't play their games. Nobody played games in my showers. We wouldn't allow it. It's not like Hollywood. If you have a good staff that's given the backing up, school results, the teachers want to retire. So we can't wait. I feel for you, but you're going to have to do outside the box thinking. And you could call for help for volunteers. Of course, I want to be insured because I'm not going to lose my house. But you can do that. We can get volunteers if you just think about it. We could have several adults in each hallways. And you could buy us some donuts at the end of the year or something. But the one school district has the fathers in there. And it was on the national news. I don't know what happened to it. But the fathers told the kids, knock it off. So teachers are not supposed to be corrections officers.
Agreed.
So you can get a hold of me, Greg Griffin. I could get some corrections officers to volunteer. If you check with legal, we'll come in for 4 hours a day, lunchroom. What are these retired corrections officers doing anyway? I don't know. So look, there's resources for you at no cost. It's outside the box thinking. But where will Valley West be 5 years from now if you don't do something? Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Griffin. James B., please.
Good evening, board. Good evening, fellow parents and community members. James Baldwin, West Wyoming. I just want to make some comments along with the other parents and concerned citizens regarding the violence in the schools. Obviously, it's a big concern. Something was just in the paper yesterday on what happened at the high school, and just kind of parroting on what was said previously. We have to have some outside the box thinking with the situation. As you guys probably already know, when kids don't feel safe, they're more likely to act out. I have some experience working with juvenile delinquents, and that was one of the big things is when children don't feel safe, you're going to have more violence. And that, it kind of seems like what we're seeing right now. And, I know you mentioned, zero tolerance policies as something, as a possibility. What does the zero tolerance policy mean? Does that mean after a certain number of violent encounters with a particular student, are they expelled? I don't know, maybe that's something you can kind of elaborate on, but
I'll let you finish first.
okay. But, there needs to be something because, we do see this in other districts where parents pull their kids out of public school. And obviously, if we start to see that on a larger scale, there's gonna be less money and resources in this district. And obviously that's only going to exacerbate any problems that we are currently having. I know a big thing that people are doing is they're moving their kids to cyber schools. And that's something I know this district has issues with and other districts deal with as well. And, if parents don't feel that their kids are safe, you're going to have all the good kids and, the parents that are involved, they're not going to want to send their kids to the school district, which is a problem because those other kids aren't going to have the positive role model kids to be around them. And, obviously we don't want to see that. And I appreciate the fact that the district is having a big meeting to try to figure out this problem because, as a parent with, a child in the district, it's something that's crossed my mind. Do you want to keep your kid in this district if there's going to be that level of chaos? And a lot of parents are feeling that way. Unfortunately, there's not more parents here to say that, but I think everybody, I know there's some parents on the board, something has to happen. I appreciate, you guys making an effort for that. Just one other quick comment, just related to the sign-in for the public comments at the meeting. I just asked that. I understand you want to have order in the meetings and you want to have people sign up for them. I would just ask that you consider having multiple options for people to sign in. If somebody can't, they're not going to make it at that 5 minutes before, we have the technology available. Maybe you can have, a digital thing for signing on, it's some type of simple technology thing where people could just sign in, say, oh, I want to be a speaker tonight, but they might not be able to make it. So I ask that you have a couple options for that. And then after the public comment, that the people that have signed in, if somebody heard something in the meeting, that you just give the opportunity to say, is there anybody else that has a public comment, just to give people the opportunity, because some people come to these meetings just for the information to find out what's going on in the district. They may hear something and say, I mentioned this before, they may hear something and say, I didn't know about that, or maybe I have a suggestion. So people don't have to, interrupt your meeting and say, oh, I wanted to say something, because most people won't do that. So I just ask that you consider just saying, is there any other public comments after everybody that's signed in?
We'll take that in consideration. Mr. Baldwin, the zero tolerance policy, to answer your question, is exactly what it is, zero tolerance. Mr. Tosh could definitely dive into that a lot more. Some of it's on a case by case. You can't expel your good kids, but Mr. Tosh, would you try to finish that up for us?
In the situation we're in right now, it's where we can expel, we are expelling. And that's not something that you're going to read about in the paper, but where we can't expel, we are, and we have, and we will continue to do. And we've been more aggressive with it based on, as this board has emphasized the safety and security, as you've heard at these board meetings, but we have been much more aggressive with it. Where federal law doesn't allow us to supersede federal law, that's where we're in conversations now about where we can draw the line and where maybe there's a little bit more flexibility. I can tell you though, with 100% certainty, any student that's been involved in a situation in the high school where there has been any type of physical violence, they have charges that are pending over, that have been through the Plymouth Police Department. So whereas we can expel aggressively, we will, where federal law mandates that we have to be careful in where we draw the line, and we're having discussions with our solicitor, and we'll have discussions with the state representatives with that. We're taking a hard look at that. But the one thing I can guarantee you is any child that's involved in any type of altercation, they will have charges. And the last thing I do want to say, and I have to say it because it's the right thing to say. We're hearing a lot of negative stuff, and I get it. It's been a rough couple weeks and a rough month or two at the high school. But I do want to emphasize, we have really, really, really good kids in this district. You saw our two representatives that are up here taking time out of their night, every board meeting, they're up here, okay? Whereas maybe other kids wouldn't want to do that. But we have kids in Pennsylvania Junior Academy of Science, Science Olympiad, our athletes, our band, our cheerleaders, our orchestra, our student council, our choir. They're kids that never show up in a principal's office. Rarely ever. And unfortunately, because the actions of other students, we're sitting here discussing this tonight, and rightfully so. It's right that we're discussing it, because the only way you can rectify it is to have a conversation. And we had a very lengthy conversation for the last hour with it. But I do want to emphasize that I don't think a black mark against Wyoming Valley West High School should be made when, and again, I don't want to put a number on it. I don't know. It's a small amount of kids that, for whatever reason, the disrespect that they're displaying is consistent. But again, we're going to be very aggressive to look at a different placement for those individuals should it continue. And it's not an excuse, but I do think we need to understand we've got good kids in this district that day in and day out do a really good job and are great representatives of Wyoming Valley West. The ones that aren't are the ones that we're going to deal with, and we will deal with them.
Thank you, Mr. Tosh. And I think everybody, is appreciative of that. And we want to keep all those good kids here. So
Agreed.
that's really good that
Agreed.
everybody's taking this serious. Thank you, guys.
Thank you. Joseph Donnelly, please.
Nobody's smiling. Right, nobody's smiling. Anybody know who I am?
Mr. Donnelly.
No, personally. You know who I am, Dave. I'm just an invisible person. I'm one of your bus drivers. And I take Dana Street kids to school and the CTC kids. And my CTC bus has got a 90% attendance. Those kids want to learn up there. Whatever they're doing up there, it's pretty worthwhile. Sure, they get out of hand sometimes. The kids down at Dana Street, they're just kids. We were all kids once. I hate to think back to when I went to high school and grade school, what happened when you step out of line. Yeah, you all went through that, didn't you? Now they're smiling. Anyway, you're doing the best with what you've got. Suppressing these kids isn't going to do it. Got to make them want to learn. I can see that up at the tech school. And the little kids, they're learning stuff they shouldn't be learning. They're becoming jaded. They're starting to bully. They're starting to be physical with each other. I've got it down to where I just shut the engine off and wait till them to calm down. I don't have many altercations on my bus. But I'm glad to say that I came to this meeting, and I'm also glad that I'm driving these kids around. That's it. Nothing negative.
Mr. Donnelly, or Mr. Camus, can I respond to that? Mr. Donnelly, I said this last year, and I will say it again. This district owes a debt of thanks to our bus drivers, because when we were going through the fiasco of COVID and not knowing a lot about it at the time, our bus drivers, and I know our two contractors had a hard time staffing buses at time because a lot of the bus drivers are, unlike you, a youngster. A lot of the bus drivers are up in age. It may be a second job, and they were extremely dedicated and they came to work. We have building cleaners in this district. We have cafeteria workers, bus drivers, unsung heroes in the face of the adversity that we went through over COVID and even moving forward now with some of the behavior that we've talked about. I have great admiration for the fact that you, as well as the rest of the bus drivers, continue to come in and do the job you do every day, in addition to cleaners and cafeteria, people that might not be out on the forefront every day. But I thank you on behalf of the district for everything you do.
Cheers. I am also retired from PP&L, and I had a crew. And I treat the kids like I treated my crew. You give them respect, they get it back. You need help, I help them. That's all.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Donnelly, very much. Beth Marachko, please.
Beth Marachko from Kingston. President Reagan said it very well. The most terrifying words is, I'm from the government and I'm here to help. I feel that we have lost control of our children on multiple levels. Some because they don't have the proper structure at home. Some when they cross our school doors, they don't know what the word respect means. Some of them don't know how to behave. And for how long did we have them in mask? So they were able to hide things from the adults that were around them, not on purpose, but that's what happened. We all have to admit, putting our kids in masks not only might have helped them health-wise, maybe not, that's all up for debate, but that's not our debate now. Our debate now is, what are we going to do with these children that have suffered because of the things that we've had to do? And unfortunately, our education system has suffered a great deal. And it hasn't just because of COVID. I think or believe that it started way back in the past when my grandparents were parents. They put people on the school board and let them make all the decision. There was never accountability. And as the years went through, parents just thought, I did when I was a young parent, I just thought, oh, they're on the board. They're looking out for their kids. And that's when little things sneak in that sometimes the board's aware of it, sometimes it's not. And we're at a breaking point now, is what are we going to do to make our school what it used to be? My two stepsons graduated from West, very, very successful in the careers that they have chosen because they got a good base education here at Valley West. I know Valley West has a lot of great students. I've met them. I see them on a social basis. We have good families in our district. Our good families are considering leaving because we have a few. And I know it's a few. Mr. Tasha, remember the report you gave me on the surveys? The survey in the back, there was a question on our children that were asked, do your parents approve of drugs, alcohol, all these type of questions? 90% of our students know that's wrong. And one of the questions is, how does your parents feel about those questions? Mr. Tosh will show you that report. It was very interesting that students know that their parents do not approve of these behaviors. So now we know we have a 90% school population that has the standards, the morals, and the values. Now, how do we take that 90% and flip the 10%? That's where we're at. How are we going to do that without losing our 90% intelligent students? When are we going to be able to start hanging banners and trophies back up for our sciences, our math? These have all deteriorated because we're too worried about the social economics. So now we have to figure out how can we incorporate our math, our reading, our social studies, and our science back into our classrooms while we have to reteach. We have to reteach morals, values, and standards. I feel sorry for you guys. I really do, because you are in a tough corner, because you are stuck with new laws. You're stuck with some of the things we have to do to apply for our grant funds. We are also stuck with, I think President Bush is the one that signed in no student left behind. How do you not leave a student behind and you have to kick him out because he keeps punching somebody? How do you educate that student without endangering your other students? I'm glad you guys have to try to figure that out, but it's going to be tough. But you know, you have 90% of your family population that's going to stand behind you, that's going to stand up and say, no, they're right, that kid's got to go. Because parents want a safe environment for their kids to learn, to continue what the parents are teaching them home, morals, values, and standards. They're being taught at our homes. Now we got to figure out when they cross that door line, those morals, those values, and those standards are going to be applied here, because just because mom and dad aren't here does not mean they stop at that door. You got to get your community, your parents. I don't know how, I don't know the answer, but I'm telling you, there's parents that want to help. There's parents, grandparents, I'd help. I'd come in for free. I would help, whatever. But we don't know what to do. We have to sit down as a community and figure this out before we lose our community. And our community is our children. That's all I'm going to say tonight. Mr. Tosh, afterwards, can I talk to you? Because I have a question that just between us. All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Committee reports, Mr. DeBascus, athletics. Sorry.
Nobody else. Just an update, we're finishing our winter sports into the spring season. I think we generally had some good seasons. Our wrestling team actually has a meet. Is it this Wednesday where they're going for the highest win total for a Valley West wrestling team? So if anybody has an opening on Wednesday, head up there to that meet. Again, all the spring sports are starting. That's about it for sports.
Do you have anything on technology?
Just on technology, got some numbers together from our IT or from Anthony about the esports club and what that would cost, and we'll have to look at that and try and get that in a budget at some point to create a room up the high school for esports. Which is I don't know if everybody driven over Kings has a building now that they have just for esports, so it is getting very popular. So we'll try to get that in at some point.
Pretty exciting. Thank you, Brad. Mr. Keating. You have anything this evening?
Yes, actually, I'd like to elaborate a little more on what you said and what our superintendent said, and also to address some of the comments that were made this evening, because it all ties into the finance committee ultimately. I made a call today to our school resource officer from Plymouth Borough, Officer Lewis, and it was really eye-opening, and people need to know, our faculty needs to know, everyone needs to know. I mean, the work that person has put in this year at the high school. North of 60 arrests in one school year. And, we hear your problems, but you have people that are assigned to jobs in this district that are doing a very good job at what they were assigned to do. And yesterday, unfortunately, Officer Lewis was injured, trying to subdue someone that was resisting arrest, disorderly, trespassing a student. And I just think that he needs to be recognized, along with we have a wonderful new SRO in this building and many others from the Curley Agency that assist them in their daily efforts, that are doing their very best to keep the building safe. And, you know, we can sit up here and pat ourselves on the back and say that we've invested this year alone over $500,000 in added resources with SROs, with unbudgeted Curley security. And on your agenda this evening, you know, a grant that was repurposed so that there's advanced imaging technology at all of these buildings to make sure that everyone entering on a daily basis is scanned with the latest technology that we have. We're giving the administration the authorization to purchase these machines immediately upon the funding becoming available. Unfortunately, what we've done so far, I'd like to sit up here and say it's enough, but clearly it's not. And where I want to bring this into my committee is, you know, I never thought I would sit up here as a new board member and say that security is every bit as important as education, but it appears that way until we get a handle on all of our facilities. And I agree with what Mr. Tosh said earlier, that it's probably no more than 20 to 30 kids in both of these buildings that are making the district a mess for everyone. And when you see that Officer Lewis and our SRO in this building have made countless arrests, there are parts of that where their hands get tied, along with the administrators, the principals in these buildings that do their best every single day to see that district policy is being followed and that the kids are being properly disciplined. But we have a broken system, and that's why Rick mentioned earlier, and I really thank Representative Copper and Rinkevich for stepping up to the plate to help us out, to pull all of these resources together with the DA and the state education attorneys to see if there's anything we could do to help with seeing that we have alternative means of disciplining kids that need to be disciplined. And from a financial standpoint, where I said earlier that I never thought I'd be saying that security is as important as education, if we have to find ways in our upcoming budget to alternatively place as many of the kids that we can that are causing these problems for our school, I think we're going to do everything that we can possibly do to place them, I should say, in another location so that all of the kids that are doing good things and the teachers that are coming here to educate them have a safe environment that's proper for an education setting. That's all I have.
Thank you, Mr. Keating, very much. And I would like to also thank our SRO as well. They worked very hard for us. Mr. Savage, you have anything this evening?
Mr. Camus, Mr. Tosh and I just chatted for a minute or two. And there are some changes that are going to happen in Title I for the upcoming year. We'll have a complete listing of those changes for the board meet for next month's board meeting. I'm sorry.
Perfect. Thank you, Mr. Savage. Mr. Hardwick, do you have anything this evening?
Probably at risk, I do. And I don't, the risk is coming across as being a little defensive, and I don't want to present that versus perhaps providing some awareness. And Kate, Mr. Griffin, Mr. Baldwin, Ms. Marashko, all of you, I assure you, your comments don't fall on deaf ears. We do listen. I think it's important that we also communicate with what we are trying to do and the things that have been accomplished. And to Paul's point, obviously it's not enough. And I don't think any of us has the one single answer that's gonna say, okay, problem solved. You know, it starts at the buses and then the kids get in school. Probably really starts at home, to Ms. Marashko's point. But there's only so much within the control of the board and the administration and the teachers. But I did want to make sure we're aware that we're working toward, and we've added the SROs. We've increased the Curly security staffing within the buildings. We've increased cameras coverage at the stadium and sporting events. We talked about the disciplinary policy and the zero tolerance. And I happen to think that as that moves forward, while we may see some kids that may get wrapped up in that we think shouldn't, sticking to our policy and our guns will be very, and our policy will be very important to make that work and be a valuable tool in everything we're trying to do. So I just wanted to say that, and the one comment, I sit here and I have to scratch my head when a comparison comes up to a school district and a school building, and we're comparing to a corrections facility. But you say to yourself, maybe this is where things are, and we have to face a reality, and we have to make change and deal with it. And I think this board's trying very hard to do that. And I just wanted to say, I will continue to the ability that I can to work with this board, with administration, everybody to try to turn the corner on this. And I think we have to. We don't have a choice. We don't want to lose this district. In fact, we want to make it better. That's my comments.
Thank you, Mr. Harvick, very much. Mr. Dickton, do you have anything this evening for that safety committee?
Good evening. Yeah, a couple of things I wanted to just quickly go over. The health and safety plan update that's on the agenda for tonight. That needs to get updated or at least revised or revoted on every 6 months. We didn't make any changes really, except that we have the capability now to give all the family, students and staff over-the-counter tests for COVID if they need any between now and, the endemic phase, which seems to be coming this May. When it comes in terms of the grants, we talked about the advanced imaging system. That grant is now submitted. We're just waiting to hear back from the state. And once that's submitted, Mr. Tosh will go forward and purchase those units. Another grant that we have now moving forward is through the DCED program with AMP Technologies, and they will now start installing gun detection systems in 3 of our buildings. And then we'll be meeting in the next few weeks to get an app for all faculty members and administrators and SROs where we can alert first responders instantly and have the ability to talk back and forth to each other, a few of us. Another grant that we just pushed through last week through the state, through PDE, is called Gaggle. Currently, right now, we're using a program called BARK, which will monitor students' activities on our school-issued devices, not their devices. So if there's anything that is being searched or saved that is inappropriate or a cause for concern, it'll flag it and send it to a team. Gaggle, now that we are slowly implementing Kooth and having email was the concern, Gaggle will be a year of free service that will now filter school issued emails and devices for similar activity. Depression, violence, kids searching, inappropriate things, and then that'll flag us and give us the ability to help that child or stop any kind of inappropriate emailing to other students. And then lastly, what you've all said, all the things we have been doing. And for the parents that showed up tonight, we started a safety committee this year. As Mr. Keating had stated, we added Curly security, we added SROs, we're adding cameras all the time. We're going to purchase that advanced imaging system. So we're constantly trying to improve the safety in all of our buildings, keeping the students that we have, everything that everyone mentioned. But we also need the help of the parents. And that, as a parent, as the parents that spoke, one of the biggest drivers is that social media piece. We see it all the time. If the parents can help us to lock their kids out of their social media during the day, that would prevent a lot of our activity. Because what's happening is, and what we're seeing in the buildings, kids are able to communicate so quickly and then meet. And when they meet, right, that's when we're having problems. Without that capability, right, they're not hanging out in the bathroom, as you mentioned, bored. They're not having a group Snapchat and then meeting somewhere. So we will, we try to do cell phone policies. It works for a little while, but kids, are very quick to not give up their cell phones. Parents are quick to defend their child to not give up their cell phone. But parents do have the capability to lock that cell phone during certain hours. And I think our parents need to meet us, with this problem and start doing that with their kids. That's it. Any questions for me? Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Dickman. I have nothing for buildings and grounds this evening. Mr. Guevara, do you have anything to add?
We're just moving forward with the 4 projects that we haven't yet funding, we're getting close to getting them out there.
Perfect, thank you.
Just a quick, do we have any concerns that we're not gonna be able to spend all of our ESSER's money that we've been received, or any,
We have four projects, one with ESSER's 2 and 3 projects with ESSER's 3. We're moving forward to try to get all those 3 projects done. We need to get them out on the street. We need to get bidders on them, and we need to get them started because they're very aggressive. We really need to get them started because the ESSER's 3 is needs to be completed by September 30th, 2024. But the extent of work that we have in those 3 buildings is enormous. We have a lot of work to do, so we really need to get them out there. Get started.
Are we holding you up in any way, or it's the board?
Right now, we are set to go out to bid on February 14th for Third Avenue. We're set to go out on April 1st for the middle school, which is an extensive HTC project. We're set to go out on April on the data budget, which is air handlers and so forth.
Okay.
We need to get the bids out, and we need to get the back.
Got it, thanks.
I'll have to back up for a minute here. I forgot number 7. Could I get a motion to approve the regular meeting from January 11th?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Carries. Number 9, general recommended action items. 1 through 8. Is there any questions on any of these? Have a motion, please?
So moved.
Second.
And Mr. Dabascus, on a roll call, please.
Mr. Pazinski?
Yes.
Mr. Dabascus?
Yes.
Mr. Hardwick?
Yes.
Mr. Keating?
Yes.
Mr. Usavage?
Yes.
Mr. Perfetto?
Yes.
Mrs. Cassatt? Yes. Mr. Camus?
Yes. Staff recommended action items, 1 through 19. Oh, I'm sorry, 1 through 21. And we have to, Myra, could you help me with that, please?
For number 18, I believe 2 of the appointments are going to be conditional upon them obtaining their certification.
Okay, that's right. So on number 18, it would be the choreographer Alyssa Barber and technical director Aaron Stiebel upon attaining their clearances.
Correct.
May I have a motion, please?
So moved.
Second.
By Mrs. Cassatt, roll call, please.
Mr. Pazinski?
Yes.
Mr. Dabascus?
Yes.
Mr. Hardwick?
Yes.
Mr. Keating?
Yes.
Mr. Usavage?
Yes.
Mr. Perfetto?
Yes.
Mrs. Cassatt? Yes. Mr. Camus?
Yes. Accept and approve the following as presented for bills for payments from the bills and payments.
So moved.
Finance. Roll call, please.
Mr. Pazinski?
Yes.
Mr. Dabascus?
Yes.
Mr. Hardwick?
Yes.
Mr. Keating?
Yes.
Mr. Usavage?
Yes.
Mr. Perfetto?
Yes.
Mrs. Cassatt? Yes. Mr. Camus?
Yes. Now I'd like to go around the table, board members' comments. Mr. Dabascus, do you have anything?
No, I'm good, thank you.
Mr. Hardwick?
No, thank you.
Mrs. Cassatt.
Just want to thank everyone voicing their concerns to help us help the students, families, faculty, everyone involved. Mr. Griffin, thank you. I know I'm aware of your work helping out Luzerne County families, so you seem like you really are very thoughtful and thank you.
Mr. Keating,
Nothing, Mr. Camus. Thank you.
Mr. Tosh.
I just want to thank the board for giving us the authorization to purchase the 4 single-lane advanced security detection system. They're going to be a real asset as far as getting kids into the building in a quicker manner and be able to use state-of-the-art technology for safety. And I do want to acknowledge Mr. Dickton. Mr. Dickton has worked very hard on getting that grant secured. And in addition to his other jobs as transportation coordinator, overseeing Third Ave, some of the other things he does to be able to juggle as he has and to get that grant rectified for us and switched over is a very big piece for this district. And I want to thank the board for authorizing us to go in that direction.
Thank you, Mr. Tosh. Mr. Whittiak. Mr. Pazinski.
Not a thing.
Mr. Perfetto.
Nothing, thank you.
Mr. Usavich.
Nothing, thanks.
I do have a question for you, Mr. Whittiak. On that legislation that was ruled today, do we have any idea where that might take us, the district?
No, there's no funding projections were given. It'll be appealed. It'll be years before that comes to fruition.
Thank you very much. Next scheduled board meeting, our work session will be Wednesday, March 2023 at 7 PM. And our regular March meeting will be Wednesday, March 8th at 7 PM. May I have a motion